In my video content, I frequently discuss the futility of seeking revenge on narcissists. I emphasize the importance of rebuilding oneself and moving forward rather than harboring resentments. It's important to realize that you cannot inflict the same level of pain on a narcissist as they have on you, making victory in such battles nearly impossible. Nonetheless, while narcissists may not show it outwardly, certain actions can indeed hurt them. This piece will explore some of these significant impacts. Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to our program. For those joining us for the first time to learn about narcissistic abuse, we encourage you to subscribe. Feel free to ask any questions anonymously during our discussions. Let's dive right in. One of the most effective ways to emotionally wound a narcissist is by ignoring them. Being ignored is challenging for anyone, but for a narcissist, who thrives on your attention, energy, and approval, it's like cutting off their life source. They despise how this makes them feel. Initially, they viewed you as a loyal partner who would never leave, making your indifference a severe blow to their self-esteem. Your lack of interest forces them to work harder to gain your attention or seek validation elsewhere, which they find frustrating. Narcissists prefer you to be weak and easily controlled. Ignoring them significantly impacts their self-esteem, as they are deeply disturbed by the idea of you cutting ties with them or ignoring them permanently. It diminishes their inflated ego. By taking control and refusing to let their negative influence affect you, you assert your victory. Their loss of your support greatly unsettles them. Even though it may be in their nature to move on, the complete severance of contact leaves a lasting impression. And now for another important point, let's talk about the narc injury, which is a big blow to narcissists' self-esteem. This narcissistic injury can happen when you hold the narcissist responsible, set limits, or criticize them, which can cause a lot of emotional pain. It doesn't matter if the feedback is professional and helpful or hurtful and embarrassing. It still hurts. It's the same as poking a hole in their bloated sense of self-importance. It's important to remember that, unlike us, narcissists have a very skewed view of reality. This skewed version of truth is their safe place. So, when you question this fake story, they have to face themselves, even if only for a short time. They are hurting from this fight because they hate themselves inside. They strongly deny that they did anything wrong. In an earlier video, I talked about how I hurt the narcissist deliberately by accident. In the same way, other people have talked about how they have purposely or accidentally caused similar injuries. These kinds of things always hurt the narcissist's pride and have a lasting effect. So, survivors who accidentally cause narc injuries are less likely to be manipulated in the future, or at the very least, the narcissist will have to try much longer to manipulate them again. They will carefully think about what they can do before trying to get in touch with you again. Finally, I want to say that rejection causes narcissists a lot of long-term pain. You have power over the narcissist because you chose to end the connection and walk away. Narcissists like to be in charge, so they'd rather end the relationship than let it happen. They carefully set up a new support system so that they can end the relationship on their own terms. If they leave, it will be easy for them to make up a story that makes them look like the victim and get help and sympathy. This makes it easier for them to start a more effective campaign to spread lies about you. As a way to feel better, they might say things like, "I had no choice but to leave, they were dishonest and unfaithful," and more. But when you break up with them, they can't use these tricks to get what they want. They might have a hard time finding someone who can help them like you did. They might look for help somewhere else, but they don't want to rely on it completely. Even though they try to trick you and play the victim, their tricks won't work once you're gone. By cutting them off, you make it harder for them to keep their home or money, which makes their problems even worse. I want to stress again that they never expect or urge you to leave and stay away on your own. These kinds of acts have a lasting effect on them and change their minds deeply. To get a better sense of this relationship, I strongly suggest that you go back and look at point number 2. Now let's talk about the fourth point, Move forward. A familiar story comes out of emails, face-to-face meetings, and live chats with many survivors. I had moved on. It made me feel better. I quit dwelling on the past. Things were going well in my life. Still, they always try to pull me back in. The same process happened to me. They feel like they're getting better. Let me send them an arbitrary "I miss you" message to stop them in their tracks with pain. One of the many things about their behavior that confuses me is that my point of view doesn't match up with what they do. Even though we're giving them very little, they can't stand the thought of us going on. Isn't it strange? Even though we don't offer anything, they can't stand the thought of us going forward. Do you get it? People who are narcissists leave when they want to. You think they won't come back, so they throw me away. But just as we start to feel better, they come back. It seems like they can see a chance to trick you. They understand without thinking about it. It is, in fact, confusing. They need us or don't need us. The reasons behind their timing is still not clear. 3 months later, I was tricked again. Some say they were tricked after only 1 month of growth. It's always hard for me to understand why their timing is always off. But let's forget about my complaints. If you're happy and fulfilled in life without sexual relationships, your growth and healing in love don't matter. They try to get back into your life and stop you from moving forward as you start to heal, get better, and take charge of your life, maybe through support groups or therapy. They don't want you to be happy or successful, so I doubt they know this. Studies show that they are jealous and insecure about everything. Your leaving has a big effect on them and will stay with them forever. Let us sum up. There are a lot of narcissists who won't admit that their acts hurt them because it would hurt their pride. They will try to keep up a front of toughness or indifference. Narcissists may feel bad when you do these things, but they will probably find approval and pleasure somewhere else in their never-ending search for perfection. It happens over and over again. You shouldn't think that any of these actions will magically change a narcissist or make them continuously chase you. While they may think about these things for a short time and feel uneasy, they will eventually move on and stop following. It's going to happen. When dealing with a narcissist, the best thing to do is to step away and focus on your own health and healing. Not because they want to get even, but because they know that some acts can make them feel uncomfortable, and that feeling might last for a long time, even if they never tell anyone. They won't be able to keep after you forever. Many of these problems are solved by putting your own needs first and making changes to make your life better. This method works well because it lets you reach several goals with just one move. Narcissists are always afraid of being forgotten, which is the fifth thing that stays with them. To keep their feelings up, narcissists need praise and attention. Even writing this, just thinking about them makes me tired. When people forget about them, it hurts their pride even more. It becomes clear to them that they are not as necessary as they think they are. The world does not spin around them as they believe it does. Realizing this might make them want to take back control. If they feel like someone is slowly pulling away from them, they may act out to get attention. Don't let these people bother you for a long time. I know this for sure because I've seen them go to great lengths. They keep coming back, even if you're not aware of it. Some of them stay for a long time. Another thing that hurts a narcissist a lot is when you move on with someone else. This could be put in the category of moving on, but I wanted to make it stand out to show how important it was. You can move on with your life without them, whether you find a new partner or choose to be alone. They hate both situations, but seeing you with someone else is much worse because it makes them feel like we do when we see our friends get together with someone new. They look at their situation the same way we do. They get jealous and start to wonder things like, what makes this new person so special? What's going on here? In this case, a narcissist might try to get back in charge by trying to get your attention off of your new relationship and onto them again. And, like us, they think about a lot of the same things we do. They feel self-loathing similar to how we might feel when we see you move on with someone else and find happiness and growth in your life. They have a hard time letting go of this. Now let's jump into the comments and spill some tea. Tell me what you think makes a narcissist really angry. Let's talk about times when you hurt their ego or made them feel selfish, whether you meant to or not. Speaking of spilling the tea, it means to share juicy rumors or secret information, or to dish the dirt. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments, whether they are true or false. Also, don't worry about the swearing now and then. Let your thoughts run wild. I think it's funny, so I don't delete those comments very often. So, feel free to say what you want. Also, if you liked the movie, please give it a thumbs up. It helps me a lot. Also, if you haven't already, click the subscribe button and tell other people about the movie. Survivor, have a great day, and don't forget to put yourself first. Embarking on today's journey, we delve into the intriguing realm of actions so peculiar that they baffle even the most self-absorbed individuals. But before delving into this captivating topic, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to each of you for gracing us with your presence. Your support holds immense significance for us. Hence, I urge you to engage further by liking, subscribing, and sharing our content if you find it compelling. Let's initiate the riveting dialogue that lies ahead. What are your encounters with narcissistic relationships like? If you've experienced them, you likely understand the roller coaster of unpredictability and the ensuing turmoil it brings. Amidst the mayhem, there's a particular behavior narcissists exhibit that catches them off guard, leaving them in a state of prolonged dismay. Can you fathom what it might be? Stay tuned as we endeavor to unravel the enigma further. Additionally, feel free to share your insights and personal encounters in the comments section below. Let's embark on this voyage of discovery together. Now envision a scenario where your unwavering devotion to the relationship gradually erodes various facets of your life: your time, finances, social circle, and even your mental well-being. Despite investing your all, the narcissist insidiously inflicts harm upon you, akin to puncturing holes in a boat while you struggle against the current. What was their aim? To ensure your vessel sinks as they sail off towards their next target. There are a lot of sneaky ways for narcissistic abusers to take advantage of your kindness and concern. They kept taking while you kept giving, leaving a path of destruction in their wake. It is very important to understand that narcissists and caring people like you work on completely different frequencies. They don't take responsibility for what they do, instead taking advantage of others for their own gain and then throwing them away without any thought. And when they're looking for their next meal, it's usually a new person. They'll easily move on to someone else once they've used you up, just like they clung to you when you were new in their life. The pattern is the same whether it's an old friend, a former flame, or a total stranger. Take advantage of, dump, and move on to the next target. There are many things that keep the circle of narcissistic manipulation going. The most important thing to realize is that the narcissist stays the same even when things are going badly. They are aware of the psychological control they have over you and the chaos they cause in your life. In their drive to be better, they change masks and pretend to be different people to mess with people's minds. It's like juggling two different characters when you live with a narcissist. You're never sure what kind of relationship you have with them, because they go back and forth between being nice and mean. It's like crossing the line between Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It's a trick meant to confuse you and keep you under control. The question is what to do when your partner verbally or physically abuses you. A lot of people look for comfort and answers online, where things are crazy. This is an important turning point, the start of a trip to learn more about yourself and how narcissism works. The narcissist didn't think you would want to question. They thought they had you pretty much figured out from the start. When you think back on your first interactions with the narcissist, you can see how carefully they got to know you, finding out your triggers, strengths, and weaknesses. They see you as nothing more than a way to boost their ego and show who's boss, so they use clever moves to get closer to you while hiding their true intentions behind a charm mask. As their web of lies wraps around you tighter, pieces of your identity start to fall apart because of their lies. Eventually, they will throw you away when their needs are met. Then they move on to their next target without a hitch, breaking up relationships along the way. The narcissist never thought you would get back on track after everything that happened. You need to go back and watch this part of the video again, because the narcissist was very aware of how much pain they caused you. They were well aware that you would eventually snap, so they abused you day after day, week after week, month after month, and even year after year. You would either escape their grasp or be thrown away without any thought, unless you chose to stay trapped in their manipulative arms like a mindless ghost. If this story sounds like something that happened to you, please share your thoughts below. Your sense of self is mixed up with theirs, and each day takes away more of your energy, leaving you tired and beaten. What's interesting is that the narcissist didn't expect you to be strong, want to learn more about narcissism, accept truth, and see your own worth, beauty, and inner strength, qualities that the narcissist badly lacks. They tricked, lied to, and forced you to believe that you were dependent on them. The trauma that connected you to them made you feel like you were on an emotional odyssey, going from brief moments of happiness to deep sadness. This constant upheaval made it hard to find solid ground. Every time you tried to get in touch with the narcissist, by phone, text, or email, you were thrown into chaos and confusion. The narcissist intentionally made you feel bad, which strengthened the trauma bond and made it harder for you to get away. Since narcissist isn't taught in school, you were caught off guard by this complicated relationship. You were left with the feeling that everything was falling apart, leaving a hole. You thought about the narcissist all day and night. Their messages made you drop everything and eagerly describe your activities, plans, and intentions, only to get short, dismissive answers like okay, or even silence. Sense a pattern? Tell us your stories. They didn't appreciate your sincere attempts to make them happy. They treated you like an unpaid servant who had to constantly apologize and try to meet their requests. You stayed tied to the narcissist because you didn't know how valuable you were, because you were lost in the fog of narcissism or the trauma bond. They didn't see how valuable you were, so once they had you, they made you even less valuable. Their excitement faded, and the thrill of the chase went away when they were caught. You were put on a shelf like a forgotten toy, waiting for them to decide to play with or use you. You wouldn't know what would happen when they disappeared for hours, days, or even whole weekends. Were they trying to find someone to replace you, or were they getting what they needed somewhere else? These other sources could be friends, social events, trips, things, or anything else that is seen as valuable. Narcissists usually get approval from romantic partners or friends, but it could also come from family members or siblings. But they didn't realize how strong you were. As you figured out what was going on, you realized how bad it was and realized you had to get away. You may not have caused the breakup, but going through it can feel like getting lost in a maze. But somewhere in that maze is the key to your freedom. The narcissist, who is good at lying and manipulating others, never wanted you to see through their act, get better, or move on. They love telling lies and pretending to be someone they're not to keep you controlled. But now that you're free, you're going on a trip to heal yourself and grow, and maybe you'll even help others who have been through similar storms. You're starting to see how valuable you are and choosing to put yourself first instead of giving in to the narcissist's tricks. You've cut ties, stopped talking to each other, and moved forward. The main point is that it may be hard to get over your selfish ex. They are so sure of their own infallibility that they can't accept fault or take responsibility. Narcissists have a hard time making long connections because they keep getting people into relationships only to break up with them when it's convenient for them. Their behavior makes others dislike them. They might try to act like victims, but survivors can tell when they're not. Even though getting over a bad relationship is hard, people who have been through it can find comfort in avoiding something that would have been very bad for them. The narcissist, on the other hand, will keep doing the same things over and over again, always looking for approval from new sources and never really being happy in their relationships. The narcissist didn't think you'd be so strong after the breakup. They didn't think you could heal, especially with problems like the pandemic, medical treatments, money problems, and feeling alone. They've also spread lies about you, which has turned your friends against you and made the healing process harder. They vanished after the breakup because they couldn't face their flaws. They acted like whiny kids stuck in their own misery and tried to drag you along with them. They seem to have thrown you out and then quickly caught someone else, making you feel abandoned again. They may try to catch you again every once in a while, but it's important to avoid their tricks. Congratulations on your big victory if you've stayed strong and avoided falling back into their trap. This shows how far you've come in your healing process and how the narcissist is slowly leaving your life. We should talk about those hard times after a breakup when you hit rock bottom and thought you couldn't go on. In fact, you may have had darker thoughts than ever before. But what do you know? You kept going, found ways to deal with things, and asked for help. As a result,